Okay, welcome to my messy apartment, first of all. It's been a long week for both you and me, but hopefully we've achieved some things and we were able to keep up on our work. And most importantly, I hope all of you are doing okay and you're surviving whatever situation you're in. Let's put it that way. All that being said, I do have some practical stuff to talk about, and that's history for a few minutes. I'd like to quickly go over chapter 6 that I asked you to read for homework for Monday. Chapter 6 looks at some of the economic causes of World War One. And as the chapter points out, it's really an indirect cause. You can't really say that this economic issue directly led to World War One, but it was some of the impacts of these economic tensions which perhaps contributed to conflict between or among the nations. In this chapter, there are three themes that are discussed. The first theme is the relationship between France and Russia. Um, France, as we knew earlier, was an important supply of capital to Russia. As Russia sought to develop its economy, as it sought to expand its military, it looked to France for that financial support. What I found interesting about this unit was how it tries to connect this economic relationship between France and Russia to other events, such as the Moroccan crisis, for example. So there was an intertwining of these causes, and I think that's important for you to remember as we discuss the causes of World War One in general. The second theme that's brought up in the chapter is the whole concept of Middle Europa, the idea that Germany wanted this sort of vast trading empire in Central Europe. Now, let me put it into context. Germany did not have an empire, did not have an overseas empire. And so Germany felt that it needed this sort of Central European economic zone in order to flourish economically. So it could sell its manufactured goods to other Central European countries or peoples, and at the same time would be able to get raw materials from those areas. Comparing Middle Europa to the idea of Weltpolitik, in some ways they're similar because they both deal with German expansion. But the idea of Middle Europa is much more specific. It deals with, again, the central German Empire within Europe, as opposed to Middle Europa, which talks about kind of German expansion on a more worldwide level. So similar but different, I guess you could say. The third feature of this chapter, the third point of the chapter, deals with the relationship between Germany and Britain. Now, Germany and Britain were rivals for supremacy within Europe, at least economic rivals. Britain, for a long time, had been number one, but Germany was moving up quickly, and in fact, some would argue had surpassed Britain if you look at statistics like steel production, for example. Um, Britain based its prosperity upon trade. It was a big advocate of something called free trade, the idea that nations should be able to freely trade with one another without paying tariffs or trade taxes. Now, the point was, however, is that Britain also had its own overseas empire where it could buy raw materials, where it could trade manufactured goods. And Germany did not have this. And so you got a different situation or a different sort of perspective in the German case. They certainly wanted to sell their German goods to other countries without tariffs, to be sure. But at the same time, Germany wanted to protect its own manufacturers at home. So it put trade taxes or tariffs on goods that were coming into Germany from other countries. Now, this irritated Britain, and you can guess why. Is basically Britain felt like there were two sets of rules. If Germany wanted to sell its goods without having to pay tariffs, it should also accept goods from other countries into Germany without putting tariffs on them. And that's one of the themes that's brought up in this book, this kind of economic tension. At the same time, another theme brought up in the book relating to this idea of German-British economic competition was the reality that these two countries were in some ways becoming more and more interdependent upon each other. Particularly if you look at export statistics, Britain was exporting larger and larger amounts of goods to Germany, despite the fact of these German tariffs. So the issue was a bit complicated, I guess you would say. All that being said, again, I want you to think of these economic issues um, within the context of things like the alliance system, the military race, navalism, the arms race, imperialism, and see how it fits into within this broader context. All right, one other thing, remember that your quiz is on Monday and you need to prepare for it, obviously. Secondly, I want to say thank you for your work you've done this week. I know it's not been easy, and I appreciate all of your efforts. I really do. So I look forward to seeing most of you, if not all of you, on Monday. And and I think we're going to have a great school year. And again, your efforts have made this difficult situation a feasible one, so I appreciate it. Turn off.